aralin at nakabinding katanungan. Halika't sama-sama nating balikan, tasang natin aabot kahit nasan ka man. Sa gitna ng panubok na panahon, kahatid sila kaakibat ay diskusyon. Sama-sama tayo kahit magkalayo sa programang ito. Tak ang pagkakato. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo, Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo. Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo.
Good morning, Del Pilarians! A nice warm greeting from Teleradyo Marcelo Senior High, ang telearalan ng bawat Del Pilarian. Nice to see you all again. I'm your teacher broadcaster, Sir Sakluti, teaching you the subject understanding culture, society, and politics. Please join me again and sama-sama nating alamin at tuklasin ang kulipo. A gentle reminder to all senior high school Del Pilarians taking this subject. Do not forget to take an attendance so that your subject teachers may recognize your participation. You may do it by putting or typing your full name, grade level, and section at the comment area of our Facebook Live. You can also take a screenshot to make it more authentic. And a shout out and a greetings to all parents, guardians, learners, and to everyone who supports Teleradyo Marcelo Senior High. We thank you for your endless support, trust, and effort despite the struggles that we are all experiencing. You are all an inspiration into making education a priceless experience. To those who are striving for it and for those who continue to offer it. Again, thank you, and we look forward to your unending support into making education borderless. I would like to recognize and give credits to the Department of Education Region 3, particularly to the module writers and evaluators. Most of my discussion and my references originated from their work. No copyright was intended. The presentation and script are for educational purposes only, and no infringement is intended. If anyone believes that there had been any materials used in an unauthorized or illegal manner, please do inform the source so that any issue may be dealt with accordingly. Any graphics, images, audios, songs, videos used in this lesson belong to the respective owners and may have been sourced out legitimately through an application. We wish to acknowledge that we have no ownership over them. So, is everyone all set? Let us now begin with our online session. But first, let's have a review. Does anyone watching and listening remember what we have discussed last time? If you do, what are your thoughts? Give at least one or two words related to it. And again, do not forget to put your name, grade level, and section in the comment area. So I'll give you time to give at least one or more than two words or any thoughts regarding of what we have discussed last time in our online session. So I'll be waiting for your answers, and I'll be waiting to what you are going to put in our comment area. Okay, so I believe someone from the participants who are watching and listening to Teleradio Marcelo Senior High has an answer. Okay, so I won't be calling you one by one, but I thank you and I would like to recognize all of your answers regarding our discussion last time. So thank you for participating and thank you for giving me a bit of a review or giving words to what we have discussed last time. So thank you, Senior High School Del Pilarians, for the ideas. I believe you have learned a lot from our previous lessons. So now, let me give a bit of recapitulation. In our last session, we have discussed our capabilities as humans in the development or evolution towards having a culture and the different things that gave us economic concepts like civilization, information, diplomatic and political relations, and the skills that enable us to further gain global interdependence despite being in a planet composed of fragmented lands and perilous seas, all of which can be seen in our history. Our history was divided into many archaeological periods and generations that experienced long migrations, deaths, or death, innovation, ingenious acts, and struggling adaptation. Even though we haven't been able to really be there to experience those things in our faraway past, our current lifestyle and the society we live in is the legacy of our ancestors. The step mankind has taken from being primitive to being scientific is the result of millions of years of evolution and process. Let us remember that our species was never the first to inhabit this planet. As a reminder, everything we have now is only extracted from the resources of this planet. We basically just develop and innovate them. But creating resources is another story. Creating the resources we have is another action we really haven't been able to perfectly do. Everything we have as a species is all thanks to the wonders of planet Earth and the adaptation our ancestors was able to do and made us to inherit. In relation to this, let us acknowledge that everything is scarce and must be restored and respected. We are the dominant inhabitants of this planet, but it doesn't mean that we shall have abusive treatment to the resources it offers. And with that, I say, let us save our species and respect our environment together with all the creatures within it. Planet Earth doesn't need saving. Humankind needs the saving. Okay? So before I start with the main lesson, in this part, try to guess what is being represented in the presentation. Okay, so I'll give you time to guess what this presentation or this photo is representing or depicting. Okay, so I'll be waiting and I'm still waiting. Okay, so I believe some of our participants already answered. And if you've answered, the answer would be school. Okay, if you've answered school, that would be correct. Okay, so the answer in this first slide is school. Okay, so in the next slide, or photo or depiction or graphic. So okay, so try to guess what is being represented or is being depicted. Okay, thank you very much. So for those who answered religion, you are all correct. Okay, next. Okay, again, the instruction is what you're just going to do is to guess what is being represented in this slide or in this graphic. Okay, for those who answered the word family or pamilya, you are all correct. Okay, now let's proceed again. So in this part, again and again, try to guess what is being represented in the graphic or in the presentation. So take a bit of time to think what is being represented. Okay, so the answer in this part is peer groups. Again, if you've answered peer groups or peers or peer, you are correct. Okay. So in the next slide, what do you think is being represented? Okay, so again, take a bit of time to think, analyze the photos, the graphics, the words incorporated into this presentation. Okay, so in this part, the right answer would be mass media. But I'll take into consideration if you've answered media or print media or social media. Okay, but the exact answer is mass media. So for those who answered mass media and the other considerations I've just said, you are all correct. So thank you for participating and very good, Delpilarians. Thank you to those who participated and compliments to those who got the correct answer. Okay? So now let us proceed with the next slide. Our lesson for today is entitled Socialization and its Setting. We would be talking about socialization. Let us now begin with the discussion and again, sama-sama nating alamin at tuklasin ang kulipo. Okay? So, as an individual, one cannot learn on his or her own. It is always vital to every person's existence to experience learning as he lives with others. We cannot simply teach ourselves on how to read without learning it directly or indirectly from others. Just like in school, we cannot learn on our own. We need to read books written by others as well as we are in need to be taught by our classmates and by our teachers. In the previous lesson, we have learned different cultural, social, economic, and political practices. When it comes to cultural and social practices, family ties and pakikipagkapwa in Filipino are always significant. Since the day you were born, you started socializing with the different people around you, primarily your immediate family members. From there, you have experienced many things such as discipline, love, care, and many life lessons vital to your own growth. Like, for example, proper hygiene or respect for others. Parents usually teach their children to count numbers using their fingers. A typical Filipino family is hands on when it comes to rearing their children. Human being in nature cannot live alone. We are all interdependent. It is essential for us to learn about the present day problems, like ways of life and trends, in order to cope and perpetuate. Social life continues and evolves through socialization. Socialization can be defined or is an ending process of learning through our own experiences or through institutions we have in our communities. Various agents teach us the ways of life and on how to be skillful members of our society. Socialization defines the way on how people understand social norms, like the standard of behavior, to accept beliefs, and to be aware of values. It is not the same with socializing. Socializing is interrelating with others like peers, family, and schoolmates. To be specific, it is a sociological process that occurs through socializing. It has always been the interest of the sociologist to study the patterns of behavior and attitudes that emerge throughout the life course, from infancy to old age. These are essential parts of socialization wherein people learn attitudes, values, behaviors are proper for members of society. Socialization occurs through human interaction that begin in infancy and continue until the moment we die. We may learn many important things from our immediate family members, friends, and teachers. We have learned on how to behave properly and what to do, expect after we follow the society's norms and values. It teaches us the transmission of culture, or in other words, the way of life, to ensure the continuity of our society. Right? Whenever socialization occurs, we become actors in the theater stage. We act according to the social context of the culture we are into. Knowing the context help us act the way the society expect us to. Social contexts include culture, language, and social structures such as the class, ethnic, and gender hierarchies of a society. On the other hand, culture has two types, namely material or tangible culture and non-material or intangible culture. Material culture refers to the tangible objects belonging to a group of people. For example, a face mask, a face shield, or hand sanitizers are an example of tangible items. While non material culture is the belief, values, and norms within the society. An example is this is patriotism, love of God, respect to elderlies and persons in authority, and when we celebrate fiestas within our families, an example or are examples of immaterial or non-material culture. These things linked to one another comprise cultural ideas essential to the individual actors learning and interrelating with one another. In particular, we are all aware nowadays on how we should be whenever we go outside our home. We wear face masks as ordered by the government. We became more cautious when it comes to holding things around and wash our hands more frequently. The present context teaches us on how to live every day in such a way that we are safe from the virus, which is basically the COVID-19 virus. The situation and society's expectation make us behave according as we socialize ourselves correctly. While at home during this COVID-19 pandemic, we became more aware of the situation as we watch news, or the more we became more aware of the situation, the more we became engaged in preventing the spread of the virus. As a Filipino citizen, we abide the orders given by the government. We wear face masks whenever we go out and practice physical distancing. Society is our theater stage where we put into practice the new normal as part of the daily lives. In every situation we are into, we behave and deal with one another according to the present norm. With this, we are able to cope as we deal with one another and contribute in the lifelong process of learning whenever we are or wherever we are. Many of the things we know today are the result of imitation from others' actions. As we live in this, it is inevitable to go through the process of socialization. Experiencing others' existence lead us to the development of our being every day. From the day we were born until today, we are in the process of learning many things regarding our being as well as the process of our personal and social life we have. We learn to be good by seeing or by experiencing what is good. It is always vital in correct socialization to learn the right things dictated by our norms, beliefs, and values. We cannot live without going through the learning process, be it formal or informal. The vital, this is vital to the harmony within the society as a process. This is vital in the society we are living in. The acquisition process, as well as the things to be acquired, should be bound by the society's norms for an individual to contribute in the process as well as in the result of the socialization. We are all born onto this world without culture. We must be transformed by the people around us into cultural and socially skillful individuals. This transformation is a process regarded as socialization. Socialization is a never ending learning process that begins as soon after birth. Early childhood is the period of the most intense and the most critical socialization. During this process, we learn about tangible and intangible aspects of our society's culture. One good example is how to wash hands properly while we sing happy birthday song. According to O'Neill in 2011, we learn about occupational roles as well as that our societies expect us to learn. In the process of acquiring norms for the society, the border between what is right and wrong becomes clearer in our perspective. While socialization is the gaining of culture, in general, enculturation is a term for being socialized to a specific culture. All of us were enculturated to a specific culture at home by our parents and guardians. In the process of the personality development, socialization is always vital. Part of our personality is the result of genes, but through socialization, it is shaped in a specific direction. We are stimulated by the specific beliefs and attitudes, as well as selectively choosing involvements, practices, and undertakings. This explains much of the variance between personality types of individuals in society in comparison with others. We see different cultures within every family, and the community use different methods and practices to socialize their young ones or their child. We experience two types of teaching, which is formal and informal teaching. Formal teaching or formal education is what we experience in the school, specifically within the classroom. It is highly organized and is directed mostly by adult teachers and administrators who are professionals in the field of education. On the other hand, informal education occurs outside formal education. It includes imitation of others' actions and preferences. Repetitive practice of basic skills as well as experimentation within our social laboratory is always vital in our lifelong learning. With that, I would proceed with the types of socialization. So let us proceed again with the types of socialization according to Lumen Learning. So according to Lumen Learning, the first type of socialization is the so-called primary socialization. Primary socialization refers to the socialization during the earliest life of an individual. It is when an infant learns language and cognitive skills, adopt norms and values gradually through his or her family members. Example of primary education is an 11-month-old baby boy is being taught by his mom to hug his older brother. The second type is the secondary socialization. This refers to the process where socialization occurs through peer groups. The growing individual learns lessons in social conduct from his or her peers. Example is a grade 12 student learning to use the famous application TikTok through her classmates. Next is the so-called adult socialization. Adult socialization refers to the process of role taking. So it is vital that we understand our role in the adult socialization. This teaches an individual to take duties and greater responsibilities such as work, raising a family, being a parent and a spouse, or an example of this, or a concrete example of adult socialization, is a woman married to her longtime boyfriend at the age of, let's say, 28. They take the role of being a husband, a wife, and eventually being parents. The next one is the so-called anticipatory socialization. Anticipatory socialization refers to the process by which an individual learns the culture of a group with expectation of joining that group. An example of anticipatory socialization is when a grade 11 student chose to join chess club. She is expected or he is expected to be trained with his or her classmates every Friday during physical education time. So again, that's an example of anticipatory socialization for you to have a clearer um, understanding of anticipatory socialization. The next one, or let us say the last type of socialization, is the so-called re-socialization. It refers to the process of declining former conduct and accepting new ones as part of changes in one's life. One departs the former undesirable lifestyle and accepts new pattern for the better. An example of this is a young adult who had been in alcoholism since he was 18 years old, and he chose to be rehabilitated. Changing his lifestyle and embracing new better in behavior pattern is an example of what he've done in connection with re-socialization. Okay, different processes that offer different learnings can be observed in our society. Socialization compromises the entire process of an individual's learning process. For us to survive in a constantly changing world, we must learn about skills, rules, and the new normal. We must participate in learning new and essential things as learning is a lifelong process. Experiencing to be one of the members of our society has much to do with the development and outcome of our being. We are able to portray roles because of what we have observed as well as what we have experienced. Each member has to contribute into taking or his or her roles in order for us society to function well. Our society has its different parts catering different needs each individual has. We socialize in a way that it will continue to progress and order. We can always observe how every individual works in his or her chosen career, just like how medical practitioners and staff perform well to fight COVID 19. Uniform personnel, restaurant staff, garbage collectors, and bank employees contribute much during this pandemic. These people have learned about the roles they have from the different agents of socialization we have. To be able to raise a skillful human being, we need the entire society. Understanding skills, beliefs, values are the things we acquire from the different agencies our society has. With that, let us proceed with the six agents of socialization. According to Schaefer, there are six agents of socialization. The first is the family. They teach the child how to use objects such as toothbrush, using utensils to eat, books, bikes, slippers, and others. It is the first agent of socialization for an individual. Mothers and fathers, siblings and grandparents, plus members of an extended family all teach a child what he or she needs to know. The second agent is called peer groups. They provide opportunity to engage in team sports and other leisure activities, such as going to friends' birthday. It is made up of people who are similar in age and in social status and who share the same interests. It also provides different opportunities for socialization since people usually engage in different types of activities with their peers. The third agent of socialization is the so-called school, where people are taught to study math, reading, science, and other subjects. School is where socializing happens to people into behaviors like teamwork, following a schedule, and using a textbook. It is also the place where in doing research project with members, each group learns to work. The fourth agent is the workplace, wherein a person becomes an employee or worker and learns how to interact within his or her office mate, or the other term is co-workers. It is the purpose to teach him or her on a certain job or task and help each other. He or she may also learn to work individually with teams for certain projects. Many adults at some point invest a significant amount of time at a place of employment wherein workers acquire new socialization skills into a workplace. The fifth agent is religion. Each religion teaches members to be a cheerful giver without experiencing anything in return. Like other institutions, these places teaches participants how to interact with the religion's material and non-material culture, like a communion, wafer, and holy water. Religion fosters a shared set of socialized values that are passed on through society. And the final agent is the so-called mass media. It refers to the distribution of impersonal information to a wide audience, such as what happens via television, newspaper, radio, and the internet. People learn about objects like new technology and transportation options, as well as what is true, like, for example, beliefs, what is important or the values, and what is expected, as related with norms. An example is where people learn the new normal. Okay? They learn the new normal requirements whenever they need to go out, such as wearing face masks, social and physical distancing, proper washing of hands, and how to prevent COVID-19 virus from spreading. With this and the final agent, the mass media, with this, let us now proceed with the essence of socialization. It is very important to know that socialization is a requirement for an individual belonging into a society. Okay? So with that, let us now proceed with this reflective question. So how does socialization work in our contemporary world, wherein many communities and societies rely on technology? So do you think socialization still occur? Okay, so with this question, again, you can have an answer and comment it on the comment area of our FB Live. So don't forget to again put your identity on our comment area. So I'll give you time to answer this question and at least give a what your thoughts on it. Give a reflection, give your thoughts with it, give your ideas on what you think is the answer to this question. So again, I hope all of you are typing your thoughts and put it on our comment area. So again, let us remember that socialization is really essential in our society, especially here in the Philippine society, with in connection to interrelationships. So it is normal for every individual to be part of a society and again practice socializing in part with socialization. So I believe some of you already have an answer with this question. So let me reiterate it again. How does socialization work in our contemporary world wherein many communities and societies rely on technology? So do you think socialization still occur? So I hope that many of you answered this question, and I believe you are already answering this. So with that, I'll just recognize them and make your subject teachers recognize your answer in relation with this question. So it can be another form of proof or evidence that you really participated in our online discussion. Okay. So with that, I would be able to recognize it one by one, but I hope you really participated in answering or giving your thoughts with this question. So with that, let me proceed with a bit of reflection. Okay, so I call this segment or part as Hugot Makatao. So this quote by Mahatma Gandhi, as he said, live as if you were to die tomorrow and learn as if you were to live forever. So in connection with our discussion today, socialization, you could relate and connect this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. To live if you were to die tomorrow and to learn as if you were to live forever. And socialization is a never-ending process until you die or if you are currently living. So with that, I hope you've learned a lot from our discussion. Thank you for watching and learning, dear Del Pilarians. Once again, tune in at Teleradyo Marcelo Senior High. And again, sama-sama natin alamin at tuklasin ang Pulipo, kultura, lipunan at politika. Thank you very much. Salamat sa pakikinig at pagkatuto sa muli. Have a nice day ahead.
Teleradyo is always at your service. Kaya naman, ang feedback mo, suggestions nyo ay mahalaga sa amin to improve our programs on air and online. Para alam ni teacher yung strengths as well as the things in your mind na mas makatutulong sa mas effective na pagkatuto sa Teleradyo. Please take time to send your feedbacks via Teleradyo Mu, which you can access by scanning the QR code on the right or typing the URL provided here, bit.ly/3ORVAY9. One more, this time you follow. bit.ly/3ORVAY9. Kaya send your hashtag TBH o hashtag RT dito sa Teleradyo Mu kung saan ang feedback mo, suggestions nyo ay mahalaga sa Teleradyo.
Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo. Makinig, manood na sa Teleradyo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Sa gitna ng mapanubok na panahon, magkahatid sa kakibat ay diskusyon. Sama-sama tayo, kahit magkalayo. Sa programang ito, tiyak ang pagkatuto. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo. Teleradyo, Teleradyo Marcelo.